In the crowded halls of Riverstone High, life moved fast, voices echoing, lockers slamming, sneakers squeaking across the polished floor. Everyone seemed to belong somewhere. Everyone had a friend, a group, a purpose. Everyone, except Eli Turner. Eli was the kind of student people pass by without realizing. 17 years old, always wearing the same gray hoodie, shoulders slightly hunched as if he was trying to fold himself small. He walked quietly, eyes glued to the floor, slipping through the halls like a shadow no one bothered to look at. Teachers often forgot to mark his attendance. Classmates brushed past him without apology. Some didn't even know there was a kid named Eli in their grade. But being invisible at school was nothing compared to the chaos waiting for him at home. Eli lived in a cramped apartment above a loud, always busy street in Brooklyn. The walls were thin, the neighbors argued constantly, and the ceiling leaked whenever it rained. His mother worked double shifts at a diner, often coming home with swollen feet and tired eyes. Money was always tight, so tight that Eli had started working late nights at a corner store, stocking shelves until almost midnight. Most mornings he barely slept 3 hours before dragging himself through another day of school. Exhaustion clung to him like a second skin. No wonder nobody noticed him, he barely had the energy to be present. Where in the world are you watching from? Drop your country in the comments. And before we continue this gripping tale, don't forget to subscribe our channel, where real courage and hidden heroes come alive every day. But beneath all the silence and tiredness, Eli held something precious, something powerful, something nobody at Riverstone High could have imagined. His late grandmother had seen it first. She had taught him how to sit at an old wooden piano, place his fingers gently on the keys, and let his heart speak. Music, she used to say, tapping his chest lightly, is the voice you don't need words for. When she passed away, the world felt heavier, the apartment felt smaller, the nights felt colder. But the one place Eli still felt connected to her was at a small church 3 blocks from his home. The church was old, and its piano even older, dusty, slightly out of tune and missing 2 keys. But to Eli, it was enough. It was everything. Every night after work, when the streets went quiet, he would slip into the empty church. The pastor had long given up trying to stop him. He knew the boy wasn't causing trouble. Sometimes he would sit in the back pew and listen as Eli played melodies that sounded like heartbreak and hope woven together. Eli taught himself everything: chords, rhythms, full compositions. Each piece carried a part of him: his loneliness, his fatigue, his dreams, his memories of a grandmother who believed in him when no one else did, and nobody at school knew. Not until that Thursday. It was a freezing afternoon, the kind when the sky looked like gray steel. Music class was the last period of the day, and everyone was impatient, restless, waiting for the dismissal bell. Mr. Peterson, the music teacher, was in one of his sarcastic moods, the kind where he picked on whoever looked most vulnerable. That meant Eli Turner, he called from the front of the room, voice sharp. Why do you always sit in the back? Are you afraid of the piano? Or are you waiting for it to play itself? The class snickered. Eli kept his eyes down, cheeks warming. Mr. Peterson smirked. He loved an audience. Well then, since you seem to enjoy hiding, how about you come up here and show us what actual talent looks like? A few students laughed louder. Others looked uncomfortable but said nothing. No one expected him to actually walk up. Eli was the quiet shadow kid. He never spoke, never volunteered, never stood out. But then, he stood. He walked to the piano without saying a word. The class fell silent, confused. Mr. Peterson crossed his arms, curious. Eli sat down slowly, his hands trembling for the first time, not from fear of performing, but from fear of being seen. He took a shaky breath, closed his eyes, and remembered his grandmother's voice. Music is the voice you don't need words for. His fingers touched the keys, and then everything vanished. The classroom, the whispers, the teacher, the cold air, all gone. A storm of emotion flooded through his hands. His fingers moved with a confidence the class had never seen, racing up and down the keys with fire and grace. The melody began deep and haunting, echoing the loneliness he lived with. Then it rose full, bright, breathtaking, like hope finally breaking through. The notes wrapped around the room, soft at first, then powerful enough to make the windows hum. Students who moments earlier had laughed were now frozen in place. Some leaned forward without realizing. Mr. Peterson's smirk melted from his face. Eli played, as though the piano wasn't an instrument, but an extension of his soul. Every chord told a story of long nights stocking shelves, Of grief, of dreams he never spoke aloud, of a boy trying desperately to exist in a world that refused to see him. Minutes passed. No one moved. No one breathed. When the final note lingered in the air, trembling with emotion, Eli kept his eyes closed for one more heartbeat. Then lifted his hands from the keys. Silence. Pure, stunned silence. Then a single clap, then another, and another, until the entire room stood up. A standing ovation for the boy they had never truly looked at. A round of applause so loud it shook Eli's chest. Some students had tears in their eyes. Others looked guilty for never noticing him. Mr. Peterson swallowed hard, unable to speak. Eli sat frozen, staring at the applause that felt unreal, almost like a dream he wasn't ready to wake from. For the first time in 17 years, every eye in the room was on him. But not with judgment, not with mockery, with awe, with respect, with recognition. Eli Turner wasn't invisible anymore. He was unforgettable. And from that day on, whenever he walked through the crowded halls of Riverstone High, people didn't push past him or look through him. They nodded. They smiled. They whispered his name with admiration, because the boy they never saw had finally been seen.